Commissioner Nqcukaitobi.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good afternoon, Ms Mabasa.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Can I just get a sense of your experience, because I don't actually get it from your CV in land matters specifically before you acted. Have you ever dealt with a restitution case as an attorney or legal representative, either for claimants or for the landowners?
No, not in restitution matters. In the practice where where I was, we've dealt with many land claims, but it was not only me, it was a team when I was with Adv Mabasa Incorporated. We've dealt with several land claims.
No, I'm asking you as an attorney if you have been instructed to prosecute a land restitution or oppose a land restitution.
No, not as
the
an
answer is
attorney,
no.
Commissioner.
All right, okay. And then have you dealt with, what field of land actually did you do? Did you do evictions?
I dealt mostly with, in my practice, with conveyancing and transactional type of matters.
No, I'm talking about disputes that are within the jurisdiction of the land court. Because what you are talking about in terms of conveyancing is outside of the jurisdiction of the land court.
Yes.
No, I'm asking, I'm asking if you dealt with evictions, the answer is no.
No.
I see. All right, so you didn't deal with any matters within the scope of jurisdiction of the land court?
No, not directly as an attorney.
All right, well, you know, when you say not directly, I mean, I'm not interrogating you like I would in cross-examination, but I'm also interested in clear answers as well. When you say not directly, I mean, you either dealt with an eviction or you didn't. Is the answer? No. All right. So none of the matters that are within the jurisdiction of the land court, did you deal with them as an attorney?
Yes.
I see. So, I mean, so is it the case then that the first time you got exposed to live cases in land was when you acted in 2024?
That is correct, Commissioner.
Yes. All right. Okay. Thank you, CJ. I think let me stop here.
Thank you.
I think let me not pursue this line. I think it looks like the court needs to confer internally. Judge Mabasa, I'm interested in your knowledge conceptually of restitution, evictions under Esther, as well as Labor Tenant Act. That's why I was asking what your practical experience has been in those areas. Remember that?
Yes.
And particularly, the big topic in this country is expropriation. Remember that. Now, what is the difference between the expropriations under the Restitution Act and the expropriations under the Expropriation Act of 1975, or you can say 2024, if you look at the recent legislation signed by the president? In other words, under what circumstances can you apply the expropriation provisions of the Restitution Act, which wouldn't be applicable under the General Expropriation Act?
I'll have to consult my notes on that, Commissioner.
Okay.
What I do recall, Commissioner, is under the Expropriation Act, I think it was Section 42E,
Under the?
the Restitution Act.
Yes.
Under Section 42E, expropriation was allowed, but it was not always, I can say the Commission has not really expropriated.
I understand we can debate that, but I just want to know legally, when would you apply the expropriation route under the Restitution Act versus the expropriation route under the General Expropriation Act?
Well, the 1975 Act has now been repealed by the new Expropriation Act,
Yes.
which is currently, as I understand it, also being challenged.
Yeah, well, it has not yet come into operation. But don't worry about that. I just want the principle that these are the requirements for you to utilize the Restitution Act expropriation provisions. They differ from the General Expropriation Act in this way.
I must be honest, I haven't had a matter that I've dealt with in it, that I've dealt with it specifically, Commissioner.
Yes, no, that's
So-
fine. Don't worry. Then, when we look at Esther, it has eviction provisions, which are different to the eviction provisions under PI.
Yes.
When would Esther apply versus when PI would apply, because they cover the same subject matter?
In Esther, you would have to look at the land. Esther applies to agricultural land,
Yes.
and Esther occupiers are persons that live on the land with consent. Whereas in PI, you often have to deal with evictions where they are illegal or occupiers in urban areas.
What about the recent case of the SCA dealing with the overlap between peri-urban and rural?
Are you referring to, I think, is it Peters versus Stemmet?
Yes, it's a judgment of Judge Winder.
Yes, I I recall the matter, and I think it dealt with township land.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't
So it's
recall.
in that context that I'm asking, how would you know that today I'm dealing with PI, tomorrow I'm dealing with Esther? It's with reference to that judgment of Judge Winder. All right, well, can I ask you then another question? Forget about that as well. Generally speaking, what would you say is the reason why the restitution cases have delayed so much that your court is now dealing with 20-year-old cases?
Just in general.
Yes. I think your own reflection, you've been there for 2 years. You can tell us that this is the reason why these cases delay so much. I come from the old Transkei. People are waiting for claims that they submitted in 1998, which have not been adjudicated.
Yes, Commissioner. The land court is the way I see it. The land court is but a cog in the machinery, the land reform machinery, right? So if there are delays, you have to look at the full picture. You have to look at all the actors that are involved, which is the commission, which is the department. And I can just refer you, Commissioner, in the Moelase case, the court said that it is not the constitution, it is not the courts, it is not the law, It is the institutional, it's systemic inefficiency on the part of the institutions. It is bureaucracy. There's been failure in the systems. It is corruption. There's so many reasons, I think, why land reform has slowed. And the land court is part of the machinery, but not, I wouldn't say that the land court
I
is.
thought Welasa was a labor tenancy case.
That is correct. I was just referring to.
I'm talking about restitution. That's my
Yes.
question.
Why restitution has slowed.
Yes, it's why people make claims in 1998, but in 2026, the claims have not been adjudicated.
I think, Commissioner, for those reasons, you have to knock on the door of the Commission on the Restitution of Land Rights. The reasons are complex. Land restitution claims are complex. There are so many players involved. You have the landowners and the claimant communities. There are so many competing interests. Sometimes you have traditional authorities claiming the same land as the claimants. So apart from the competing interests, you find sometimes that there are mining rights involved, there are tourism rights involved. I would think that the matters that are still outstanding before the Commission now are the most difficult restitution cases. I think the Commission over the years have settled the ones where it's maybe a single household claiming. Those they've disposed of because they've settled thousands and thousands. But the 5,000 old order claims that are still there now, and I'm not referring to the new ones that have been interdicted, those, by the Commission's very own admission, because remember they report to the Land Court and they recently reported to the Land Court, those are the very, very difficult cases that are outstanding. And the JP, in fact, challenged them and said, bring it to court, because the Commission is struggling to deal, because of those overlapping interests and issues. And these matters are emotionally charged and difficult to resolve. So those matters that are still there are the really, really, really difficult cases. And like I said, the JP said to the Commission to bring them to court so that there can be some resolution on those long outstanding cases.
See, the reason I'm asking this question because is this, your court already has its own historical backlog. In other words, a file has been opened, but it's sitting in the land claims court. This has nothing to do with the Commission because once it's in the land court, it's outside of the jurisdiction of the Commission. But it's been sitting there and not being resolved, which is why the historical cases project was started to begin with. In other words, to dust off the files that are sitting in the registry of the land court. And so I don't think it's going to help us to say, let's knock on the door of the Commission. I'm talking the cases are inside of the land claims court.
Yes.
So I'm asking in that context, why then does somebody put a claim in 1998 that it's sitting for 10 years in the land court?
But as I indicated, Commissioner, maybe one of the reasons was the fact that initially the old land claims court was not a permanent court and there were not enough judges to deal with matters in the land claims court. They had acting judges coming and going. And I have found sometimes a file comes before you, and even before you had that matter, several other acting judges have been case managing the case. So I think the fact that there were no permanent judges in the land court, or it was the old land claims court, I think that contributed to why these matters have been in the court for so long. But also the very difficult and complex nature of land claims, as I tried to explain.
Right. No, that's fine. I mean, I have a problem with the idea that the cases are complex because the cases are complex everywhere. In fact, they're even more complex in other courts. But they move, they get finished, they go on appeal. So there must be something institutionally in the land court that's unique, that's holding everything back. And that's what I'm trying to understand from your own assessment what that problem has been. But unless you finish your answer, I've got nothing else to ask you.
Yes. No, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Chief Justice.